It's unbelievable, but the Monaco Modified Tri-Track Series off-season is about to end, and it's time to go back racing. I am going to do a breakdown regarding how I believe the season may play out, along with highlighting some drivers. Of course, the rosters may vary race to race, so please bear with me. To start off, we have to address the expanded race season, which now consists of 10 races at a bunch of diverse racetracks. This will suit many drivers' racing styles, while others may be prone to some hardships at certain tracks. The drivers will be served a double shot to start the season off, with the first two races coming at the longest track in length on the schedule, the Thompson Speedway. Personally, this is like Christmas coming early for me. Thompson is my favorite track, and I think you will be able to keep a strong car count going with some big-name drivers, even if the second race is placed during the week due to it being in the first quarter of the race season. Starting with Ronnie Williams first. One of my favorite quotes is, "Words talk, but numbers scream." And since fully committing to Adam Scavora's number 50 team in 2023, Williams was able to win 4 tour-type races at Thompson, with 3 top 5s to follow it up, and an 8th-place finish at the most recent race. This results in an average finishing position at Thompson of 2.5. Now that should really be brought into consideration when you make your pick for a winner. However, my only worry is if Ronnie can keep the tires underneath him or not. Over the years, and even after New Smyrna this past February, you can tell he likes to run pretty hard for as long as he can. And in the one tire change, most recent race the Tri-Track Series had at Thompson, he had his worst finish of 8th, even though nobody was able to get tires since no caution flew in the final 2/3 of the race. I have a feeling the second race at Thompson and the race at Thunder Road will be the races he will have his best runs at. With how close he came to winning in back-to-back seasons at Thunder Road, I think he has a chance at a win there. However, if I have to pick only out of those 2 races I think he'll win, I'll pick the second race at Thompson. I think he'll perform under the lights as he's done in the past. Moving on to another driver, Anthony Nocella. The Ant-Man is probably the only driver in the field whom in his own equipment seems to always be the dark horse candidate to win a race, but has literally the worst luck of anyone and still never show emotions. Nocella came close to nailing the tire strategy in the 2023 Icebreaker 125. And if it wasn't for a caution with a lap and a half to go, he would have won. In addition, if he didn't get hit on the restart while leading late in the Stafford Fall Final last season, he very well could have snagged that win as well. I think many people will agree that once Nocella gets that first big win, he'll be the next big name to arise, and I think if he enters the Icebreaker, he'll get a top 5 out of it. When they return to Thompson, I think he'll be able to lead some laps, but finish second to Williams. Now, I think he'll have to wait all the way until Stafford in the fall to get that win, but I have a feeling he knows what setup to use for the fall final. With his history and race starting at dusk and ending under the lights, like the 2023 Icebreaker and the 2024 Fall Final, I think he will finally come out raising the trophy in the winner's circle. A driver becoming a crowd favorite is none other than Teddy Hodgdon. Hodgdon is a guy like Nocella that has come so close in recent memory, but was unable to cross the finish line first. Technically, he won the open-wheel Wednesday Tri-Track event at the Seekonk Speedway in 2024. However, that was after the winner Brian Roby was DQ'd in post-race tech. But I think we all want to see him get that first real win. He had a fierce duel with Ronnie Williams in 2023 at the World Series, but came up a little short, along with leading and finishing no lower than 4th in most of the open 80-lappers at Stafford in 2022 and 2023 to Woody Pitkat. He might not have ended the Tri-Track season with the best results, but he isn't on the decline. Car owners Chris Garcia and Pete Matten have been able to supply him with good equipment, and he was able to win the Stafford Spring Sizzler dual qualifying race last season and seems to be a threat on any size track. It's hard to say where he may get the first win. I'm leaning towards it coming at the fall final, or at least being the most competitive at his home track, and maybe at White Mountain. I think consistency is what Hodgdon should chase in the Tri-Track Series in 2025 by aiming for top 5s and getting experience at all the venues. Maybe staying aggressive in the open races at Stafford and going for the win there is really what I'd focus on chasing this season. From a driver becoming a crowd favorite to one that already is one, Woody Pitkat will have an interesting season. He for sure will have to get more t-shirts printed for his fans for the opener, because he is no longer driving the 8 and 88 cars. Instead, he announced in late January that he will be driving for a new team. He drove some ACT late model races for car owner Jerry Roderick, and they have decided to team up for the Tri-Track Series as well. I think this is very interesting because whenever I saw the blue 88 car on track, it always had speed. He always started up front and seemed to that he was one of the juggernauts that you'd have to go through to win one of these races, especially at Stafford. The red car he debuted as a tribute to Don King was extremely fast at the 2023 Icebreaker, but when it was wrecked with 2 to go, it just never seemed to have the speed. He was able to win at Star in 2024 on the Tri-Track Series, along with a win in the 8 car that he started driving for Cam McDermott last year. Since I don't know much about the team, and especially what chassis they are using, makes me hesitant on stating which races they'll be competing for wins at. However, I want to mention that in 2014 and 2015, on the NASCAR Tour, he teamed up with Buzz Chu and immediately solidified himself as a consistent frontrunner and won races. I think Pitkat might be able to win the championship if I base my hunch off the 2015 season. I think White Mountain will be the race to watch him at over Stafford. Well, we all were waiting for this one, right? Big money Matt Hirschman. Now I get to trigger people a little at the start of this. Hirschman is probably the smoothest driver out there, and this series is very catered towards his driving style, which is tire conservation on smaller tracks. However, in 2024, I think some of his stats are inflated. He was able to win at Waterford because the caution came out late while Kyle Bonsignor was well ahead of everyone, and Bonsignor messed up the restart. So that happened, but Hirschman paid attention and won the race. Then at the fall final, the same thing happened. Nocella was well ahead, and the late caution bunched the field up. And after enough restarts, Nocella locked wheels with Hirschman, and that was the end of that. Anyway, Hirschman probably was going to win the Thompson World Series event. As you could tell, his tires had more life left in them than McKennedy, but McKennedy was able to hold on. Hirschman easily could have used the bumper and won, but he raced him clean and finished second. Then, he followed it up with a win and series championship at the finale at Seekonk. I am expecting him to drive the PD car from South Carolina in his own car throughout the year. The guy could win at any track, even though I think we all wonder what he can do on track a half mile or longer. Matt had an average finish of 3.38 last season, paired with the best average finish on the 2 tracks a half mile and longer with a win and a second. So of course, he is the favorite to win the most races and the championship. With that said, I think with the way Hirschman's car was at the World Series, and if Ron Silk doesn't enter the race, I think Matt wins the season opener, along with the finale at Seekonk. It seems suspect for me to select Star as the track he'll win at, again as he hasn't had great finishes since he last won in 2021. Thunder Road is a toss-up as he runs well, but it seems many guys are competitive there. I don't want to say he'll win the title even though numbers scream, and he has won the title almost every year, but I have another driver I think will do that, given he races every race. A driver I think will make the most noise this season is Stephen Kopcik. He was able to win at Thunder Road and seemed to always be around the top 5 last season. He had a win and 5 top 5s last season in the 7 races he competed in. It's amazing to think if you take out the 2 wrecks he was involved in, he would have an average finish of 2.8, which was better than the champion Hirschman last season. He has a 3.57 average starting position with 2 poles in 2 seconds, and at the tracks these guys race on, like Seekonk and Waterford, where it is difficult to pass, that pays dividends. I think if he can keep his temper cool and avoid the wrecks, I am willing to say he will win the Open Wheel Wednesday event, be in contention at Waterford, and find a way to win the 2025 Series Championship. I think he's due for a win or 2, and with the confidence he gained last year, it will bring him over that ledge. This next driver is another that is on the cusp of great success. Austin Beers will be driving the 179 for the Jensen family team. Beers has yet to win on the Tri-Track Series, but he will be racing full-time on both the NASCAR Modified Tour and the Tri-Track Series in 2025. Competitive seat time will help this young gun maximize his opportunity for success on the racetrack. After a successful start to the season, with a win in New Smyrna on night 1, it may spark something greater in the open modified season. Consistency is a main factor for Beers, as he cannot afford equipment failures. Beers can qualify very well on the modified tour, but on the tri-track side, we will see how it goes. I am not sure if Beers will get any wins. However, I really circle the Star Speedway, as it's a track you can come through the field at, and Beers has proven he can come from the back and get to the front. The May Thompson race is another one to look at, as the Jensen team has a rich history there, and Beers has a pole at that track. The man of granite himself, Jon McKennedy, is up next. He's the only other driver to have won the Tri-Track Series championship in its 10 seasons, and things are starting to look up again for McKennedy. It took him a bit to get going with his own equipment last year, but he was able to get a win and a second to close out the season in 2024. The Stafford Speedway has been a very strong racetrack for McKennedy in the past, as he has 4 wins and 12 top 5s and 19 top 10s, including a second at last year's Spring Sizzler for the Tri-Track Series. Since 2021, he has an average finishing position at Stafford of 7.8. Races at Thompson and Star will definitely be the tracks he will have his best runs at. If the equipment can stay underneath him, he'll have a chance at Thunder Road and even White Mountain. It's been some time since McKennedy visited Victory Lane at Seekonk or Waterford, but they used to be tracks he'd always win at. With a year back in his own equipment, I'm expecting him to have good handling race cars all season long. I think his Stafford results will determine how high he goes in the point standings at season's end. Well, this next one will be interesting. Currently, I don't know the status if his team will be chasing the championship, but I think they should. Driver Michael Christopher Jr. races the 00 for Jimmy Page. He won 1 open modified race at both Stafford and Thompson last year to begin and end his season, and I'm hoping that momentum continues into 2025. Christopher started out the year on fire and then cooled off a bit in the middle of the year, then turned it back up at the end. 2022 was his best year in a tour-type modified for him, and I really wish he would have driven the 7 New York car full-time that season on the NASCAR Tour to see where he would end up after a full season. Hopefully he will run the full schedule, and we can see where he will rank with a full season in a tour-type modified, rather than racing here and there with his main focus on the SK mod at Stafford. I think Christopher will break through and win the Waterford Tri-Track race, as he has the second best average finish in the August race of anyone in the past 3 years the event has had, with a 3.3 average finishing position. Only Kyle Bond Sr. has a better average finish with a 3 flat average, whom is not planning any tri-track races in 2025. If Christopher can stay out of the accidents, everyone better look out for him, because his success at the 3 CT tracks is very strong. However, he will need to get results at the tracks outside Connecticut if he wants to raise the championship trophy at season's end. Jake Johnson will be joining forces with the Albernaz 07 team for 2025. While balancing school, racing, and everything in between, this alliance definitely has my eyes focused on them. The 07 car has been in contention for wins over the past couple of seasons, but has yet to come through and finish better than second. Johnson was able to beat the Albernaz team in the past for wins, and that was in his family-owned team. Johnson is the odds-on favorite to win at White Mountain and repeat from last season, and I think he could win the Modified Masters event at Stafford. Star and Seekonk are other tracks he should get great finishes in. However, he needs to keep the car underneath him if he wants to get the win at Waterford. Matt Swanson is a driver that can win races, but for some reason, the car itself seems to have some mechanical issues arise. I noticed ever since 2022, I'll be at a race and I'll notice the car having some sort of an engine issue or something, and then I'll go to the next race, and Swanson is in victory lane. I don't think they'll have the best chance at a championship given the inconsistencies in the prior few seasons. However, he may snag a win at Seekonk or Star. I really want to see this team get back to winning at Thompson and Stafford, but we'll just have to wait and see. A big up-and-coming young driver is George Bassette Jr. He drives for Ted Anderson in the #1 car and his family-owned #39 car. I'm not sure if he is planning on racing the full season, but I'd like to see him race more tour-type modifieds. I think he really should run another full season in the SKs at Stafford to get the practice. But he was close to winning an open race at Stafford a few times. I think if the kid can keep the temper down and kind of let some things go, like a nerf here, a bump there, he'll be a lot more respected and find himself up front late in these races. I think he'll have his best runs at Stafford. Joey Cipriano is another driver that seems to start the races up front, but kind of runs out of steam at the end. He's been close getting that first win at Stafford in the open shows and seems to have speed, but either has a mechanical failure or gets the pit strategy wrong and really pays the price for it. If he can be consistent, he may have a chance at a win at one of the Connecticut racetracks. The team seems to be well financed, so the quality of the car should be there. 2022 Modified Racing Series champion, Jacob Perry. He will attempt to run the full tri-track season and is planning on driving for a few teams. First, he will pilot the number 4 car for Ken Matlock Motorsports, whom recruited Tony Ferrante from Long Island to help Perry. It is a newer TFR race car with Billy the Kid racing engines, so the performance will be there for him. I've seen this car race last year with Kyle Elwood, and it was competitive. In addition, he will return to driving the red number 55 car for Baggett Racing. Now, his 2024 season on the Tri-Track Series doesn't look good on paper due to accidents he was caught up in. However, if you look at the other 7 open modified races he competed in at the same tracks the Tri-Track Series raced on, he had an average finish of 6.28. Now, driving with very few sponsors paired with racing for his own team and the Baggett team, that's pretty good. If he can avoid the accidents that he was caught up in during the 2024 season, I think he will be in contention for podiums and especially top 5s. His schedule is jammed-packed, but I believe all the racing he will be doing will have a positive effect on his racing results. Max Zachem is another driver whom has come so close to winning one of these open races. Every year he gets closer and closer, no matter if it's for his own number 20 team or the Doug DePisa-owned Prestige Motorsports number 13 car. He's always had to drive with limited sponsorship from his family business of Lumax Package Store until getting some help from USNE Power. Last year at most of the tracks the Tri-Track Series has raced on, he was able to get top 5s and top 10 finishes. I always thought the Thompson Speedway was where he had the most success as a driver in his own car, but I think Star and Waterford are the tracks to watch him at this season. If luck can go his way, I think he'll be on the podium and have a chance at a win this season. He's a great guy, and I'd love to see him in victory lane. Down south, Luke Baldwin was the 2024 Smart Modified champion and will be a rookie on the Monaco Modified Tri-Track Series in 2025. He will be very exciting to watch throughout the season in his family-owned 7 New York car. I think most teams and fans, myself included, are really interested in how he will adapt to all the racetracks on the schedule. In the past, Stafford has been the only track he has raced on, and with limited experience. Paired with racing against the best guys in the Northeast modified racing scene, I think he may inherit a steep learning curve. However, Baldwin is one of the young guns whom has probably the brightest future ahead of him, especially with all his connections in the sport. I think the main thing everyone is worried about, just like all the other young guys, is if he can control his car and not fall into bad habits by using the chrome horn or forcing the issue. I think of Brian Narducci a lot when I think of Baldwin. Narducci has become a lot smoother and calculated driver whom a couple years ago, you'd be worried when he was behind you, because he would force the issue and attempt a bottom shot pass, even if a speck of air was visible on the bottom lane. Now he has chilled out a lot and has been able to win more races, and more importantly, the respect on the racetrack and in the pit area. If Baldwin can be patient and not wear his tires out early, I'd watch out for him, as he can definitely win races and even make a run at a high points finish. Baldwin won the Smart Tour Championship as a rookie, and it was his first time in a Tour type modified. That alone is an amazing feat and shows how quickly he can adapt to such a fast race car. Now, the competition level down south is nothing compared to the guys up north, but the North Carolina Invader is definitely someone to keep your eye on throughout the year. He had a top 5 at New Smyrna on the NASCAR Tour this year, and New Smyrna is a lot like the Thompson Speedway. So we will see if that translates well at the Icebreaker later this month. The Bulldog Eric Berndt has won at the 3 CT tracks in the SK Modified, and is the 2003 Thompson Speedway track champion, but is still looking for that first tour-type modified win. He has always had to drive for underfunded teams, but has teamed up with Ferguson Motorsports and has been able to be very competitive. I think he could have won the Waterford Tri-Track race last year, but the pit stop really cost him the chance to win and was stuck in the middle of the pack after leading the first half of the race. He is a very smooth and quiet driver that flies under the radar, and I expect him to have a great run at the Speed Bowl this year. Hopefully he can get into victory lane. I don't believe he will be racing the full schedule either, but he should be fun to watch. This next driver is someone I believe has the potential to go on a long winning streak and is very fast if he's in the right situation. That driver is Chase Dowling. Dowling was winning a bunch of tri-track and open modified races from 2019 to 2023. He has 6 wins with 11 top 5s and 12 top 10s in the 22 races he's competed in since 2019. He took the season off last year, and after hearing the news that he will be driving some races for the Tinio 44 team on the NASCAR side, I hope that brings him back to the tri-track scene as well. The Stafford Speedway ace brings his engineering background with him, and it helps him set the car up well. He's been able to win at Thompson, Thunder Road, and Seekonk in the past, so the schedule definitely works in his favor. Hopefully the car won't have any equipment issues, as in 2023, the car just didn't seem to have the speed it once had. I'd keep my eyes on him if he is entered in any of these races, as he will be in contention for wins. Another dark horse thread in modified racing is Chris Pasteryak. The Lisbon native started out in modifieds in the Modified Racing Series while being able to dominate and capture 2 series championships. He's a driver that I am waiting to see in the winless streak. He keeps himself out of trouble, and I think some of the more heavily financed teams are able to get ahead of his family-owned operation. He's had the most success in a modified at the Waterford Speed Bowl, so I think that's the track I circle on the schedule for him to have his best run. He just needs to be able to start towards the front of the field. Last season, the 2 best finishes he had came from when he started inside the top 3. So qualifying well will pay dividends for him during the race. Young NHSTRA modified standout. Matt Kimball has entered the tour-type modified racing world quietly, but has become more and more of a contender as the seasons have come and gone. He had the lead with 5 laps to go at Thunder Road, but ended up finishing 3rd along with a 5th place finish at White Mountain. He was able to start a career best second at Star and had an average finish of 7th for the little team from Bennington, New Hampshire. In addition, he picked up the win at Claremont Speedway on the Modified Racing Series. I expect him to only race at the New Hampshire racetracks, but based off last season, I think he will be able to get top 5s at all 3 New Hampshire races on the schedule this season. In addition, he has one of the best looking paint schemes out there, so maybe that'll help his lap times as well. A former winner on the Tri-Track Series is Dana DiMatteo, and he was able to drive for the Zarnecki 20 modified team in open shows last season, but did not enter any Tri-Track races in 2024. He was competitive last year, but I am not sure if they will enter any races this year except in the Modified Racing Series and open shows. I miss seeing this team on the track, and I think Dana is a great driver to have behind the wheel. He's proven he can win against the big names and teams, and I believe if they entered some of these races, Dana might be up front more often than you think. So there you have it, my breakdown for the 2025 Monaco Modified Tri-Track Series season. It should be one hell of a season, and I can't wait to break the ice at Thompson. Let me know what you think in comments below and your predictions for the season. So long from the Speedway.